the United States and China's ongoing trade dispute. A comprehensive analysis. The United States has implemented stringent export restrictions to limit China's access to critical technologies, particularly in the semiconductor and artificial intelligence (AI) industries. These measures include placing Chinese tech giants like Huawei and SMIC on blacklists, expanding the foreign direct product rule, and controlling the export of advanced semiconductor manufacturing equipment. The goal: to safeguard US national security and maintain its technological edge. In retaliation, China has escalated trade tensions by banning the export of essential materials crucial for high-tech and defense purposes. This move, widely seen as a direct response to the tightening US technology sanctions, was announced by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce. The result? A modern trade war that echoes the global conflicts of the past. A brief history of trade wars are not a new phenomenon. They've been shaping global interactions for centuries, often with profound consequences. Understanding the current trade dispute requires a look back at some of history's most notable trade conflicts. The Opium Wars, the root of trade. Conflicts. The Opium Wars were two significant conflicts in the mid-19th century between China and Western nations, primarily Britain. These wars stemmed from trade disagreements over opium and had far-reaching consequences for China's sovereignty and its dealings with foreign powers. In the 18th century, European demand for Chinese goods like silk, porcelain and tea created a trade imbalance, with silver flowing steadily into China. To address this, the British East India Company began exporting opium from India to China, resulting in widespread addiction and severe societal issues. Alarmed by the social and economic toll, the Qing dynasty banned opium in 1796 and again in 1800. Despite these bans, British traders continued the trade illegally. In 1839, Emperor Daoguang appointed Lin Zexu as a special commissioner to eradicate the opium trade. Lin seized and destroyed large quantities of opium, prompting Britain to respond with military force. British troops, armed with superior technology, defeated the Qing army, leading to the Treaty of Nanking in 1842. This treaty ceded Hong Kong to Britain, opened 5 ports for British trade, and imposed heavy reparations on China. Tensions persisted, and in 1856 the Second Opium War erupted, with France joining Britain. The conflict ended with the Treaty of Tientsin in 1858 and the Convention of Beijing in 1860, which legalized the opium trade, opened additional ports, and granted foreign ships access to China's inland waterways. These wars marked the beginning of China's century of humiliation, severely weakening the Qing dynasty and exposing China to increased foreign domination. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 fast forward to the 20th century, and another trade conflict emerged during the Great Depression. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 aimed to protect American businesses and farmers by imposing high tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods. Sponsored by Senator Reed Smoot and Representative Willis Hawley, the act raised average tariff rates to nearly 60%, among the highest in US history. However, the act backfired spectacularly. America's trading partners retaliated by enacting their own tariffs, leading to a 65% decrease in global trade between 1929 and 1934. For instance, Canada imposed tariffs on 16 US products, affecting about 30% of US exports to Canada. This collapse in international trade deepened the global economic downturn, with US imports dropping by 66% and exports falling by 61% within 4 years. Historians widely view the Smoot-Hawley Act as a disastrous policy that exacerbated the Great Depression, serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of protectionist trade measures. The Chicken War of the 1960s. The last major trade war before the current US-China conflict occurred in the early 1960s, known as the Chicken War. European countries, including France and West Germany, imposed tariffs and price controls on US chicken imports to protect their domestic poultry industries. In retaliation, the US enacted a 25% tariff on various European imports, including light trucks, potato starch, dextrin and brandy. The chicken tax had a significant impact. particularly on the automotive industry. German manufacturers like Volkswagen saw their exports of light trucks to the US plummet. While most of the tariffs were eventually removed, the 25% tariff on light trucks remains in place to this day, influencing foreign automakers to establish manufacturing plants in the US. The current US-China trade war. The trade war between the United States and China officially began during President Trump's administration, marking a dramatic shift in their economic relationship. It was characterized by the imposition of tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods, disrupting trade flows and unsettling global markets. The start of the trade war in 2018, the Trump administration imposed tariffs under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, citing intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and unfair trade practices by China. The administration also highlighted the US's large trade deficit with China, which exceeded $375 billion in 2017, as evidence of these imbalances. The first round of tariffs in July 2018 targeted $34 billion worth of Chinese goods, including machinery, electronics, and industrial products. China retaliated with tariffs on US agricultural products like soybeans and pork. By the end of 2019, the US had extended tariffs to $550 billion worth of Chinese imports, covering a wide range of consumer goods, while China imposed tariffs on $85 billion worth of US exports. Economic consequences. The tariffs significantly increased costs for US businesses reliant on imported goods, often passing the burden onto consumers. For example, higher tariffs on electronics, textiles, and toys led to increased prices for everyday items. China's retaliatory tariffs severely impacted American farmers, particularly soybean exporters. Beijing turned to alternative suppliers like Brazil, causing US agricultural exports to China to plummet. In response, the US government provided over $28 billion in aid to farmers. The push for self-sufficiency use restrictions have driven China to prioritize self-sufficiency in critical industries. Significant state investments in research and development have enabled Chinese companies like SMIC to advance in semiconductor manufacturing. Innovation in AI, quantum computing, and telecommunications has surged, fueled by government incentives and increased funding. China has also diversified its supply chains and strengthened relationships with non-US technology providers and countries not aligned with American policies. Initiatives like the Belt and Road Project have helped China decrease its reliance on US technology while fostering international collaboration. Impact on US companies. The extraterritorial nature of US export controls has strained ties with key allies and partners. Companies like ASML and TSMC have sought to reduce their dependency on US technologies to avoid being affected by these restrictions. Major US tech firms, including NVIDIA, AMD, and Lam Research, have reported significant revenue losses due to reduced access to the Chinese market. These policies have limited the economies of scale for US companies, potentially weakening their global competitiveness over time. A long-term perspective. Despite US efforts, Chinese companies have continued to develop advanced technologies. For instance, Huawei's new AI chips and smartphones showcase cutting-edge designs and manufacturing techniques. China's indigenous innovation strategy, supported by state-led initiatives and international partnerships, has driven remarkable progress across various industries. The US-China trade war, much like the conflicts of the past, highlights the risks and consequences of escalating economic tensions. While the US aims to safeguard its technological lead, its policies have also incentivized China to accelerate its push for self-reliance, reshaping the global trade landscape in the process.